7 a.m. Sunday. I'm Ava, waking up in my old guest room, and my company's account is empty. $92,000 gone. I find my dad, Greg. He shrugs. It was just sitting there, our chance. My mom, Linda, hisses, "Don't be dramatic." Dramatic? That was payroll, investor trust, my future. Last night they begged me to fix an ancient laptop. This morning, the bank says the transfers came from here. My passwords, my device, a keylogger. That's not love, that's theft dressed as family. Here's the family drama they didn't script. I'm done being the ATM with a heartbeat. If you were me, explode. Or go cold and plan quiet revenge. Tell me in the comments. And if you've ever had to protect your future from your past, hit subscribe. I didn't steal, Dad said. I borrowed. No, Greg, you used me. It started the way family drama always starts in my life, with a smile that feels like a trap. Saturday night, my mom, Linda, threw herself a big birthday bash. New house smell, rental chairs, glitter balloons, a charcuterie board so ambitious it needed a zip code. My dad, Greg, was in rare form, doing his host with the most routine. "This is my daughter, Ava, the genius," he told everyone, arms slung around me, like a borrowed jacket he'd forget to return. I laughed along, because that's what you do when you're the proud story in the secret ATM. If you've ever been the successful one in a messy family, you already know that smile. It's the smile that says, "We're about to take something from you and pretend it was love." They were laying it on thick, and I felt it. Love bombing disguised as reunion. My mom kept handing me wine, brushing my hair off my shoulder, asking about investors like she suddenly knew what runway meant. Dad paraded me past neighbors, dropping lines like confetti. Her company's on the brink, huge opportunity. That word, opportunity, was fitting. It was the story of his life. Other people's effort, other people's savings, wrapped in his once-in-a-generation pitch. Then came the favor. He winced for effect. "Kiddo, the old family laptop has your mom's slideshow, the baby pics, the wedding photos. It froze. You're good with these things, please?" He set it up perfectly, a sentimental emergency with an audience. Saying no would be like punting a puppy. I followed him to the office. The laptop was older than honesty, dusty, lagging, stubborn. I said I'd try. I logged into my email to grab a license key, dipped into my company drive to download a utility. Authenticated like muscle memory. It felt harmless. I was just the daughter fixing a glitch. Except the glitch wasn't in the laptop. It was in my trust. I didn't know about the keylogger. I didn't know my keystrokes were being recorded like a confession. I didn't know my one-time passcodes were being harvested in the very room where my baby photos hung, staring back at me like witnesses. I finished the fix, got the slideshow working, and there were actual tears. My mom's hand on her chest, my dad's "That's my girl." The soundtrack of a trap snapping shut. Cut to Sunday morning, 7 a.m. My phone buzzes, then buzzes again. And again. I'm half asleep when I open the banking app, expecting a coffee charge. Instead, I see a black hole, $92,000 gone. A string of overnight transfers, 8 transactions between 2 and 4 a.m. I refresh. I force quit. I log back in, the numbers don't move. My throat tightens, and the quiet in that guest room becomes a pressure chamber. I call the bank, hands shaking. The rep says the access was authorized, the device recognized. The IP your current location. I stare at the door, at the hallway, at the old laptop on the desk like it's smiling at me. I walk downstairs and find my dad humming while flipping pancakes. "It was just sitting there," he says when I ask, voice light as a paper cut. "Our chance." Our. Like my work belongs to a committee of people who never showed up to a single late night. My mom adds, "Don't be dramatic," like I've misplaced a sweater. That line cracked something in me. That tone, the smallness, the gaslight. Say it with me if you've heard it before. Don't be dramatic. Translation: suffer quietly so we can keep doing this. If you're watching this, tell me, if you were me, would you explode right there? Or go silent and plan? Because I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw that laptop through a window. But rage is a show. Strategy is a sentence. I closed my mouth. I got cold. I packed my bag in 10 quiet minutes, slid my charger into my tote like a scalpel, and walked out. No goodbyes, no monologue. Just a click of the door. Out on the street, under a tree that held more honesty than that house, I called my brother. He sounded scared. He said Dad had been bragging about a big win for days. Of course he had. Then I called my Aunt Valerie, the only person in the family who keeps receipts. Literally. Don't text them, don't cry, she said. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is felony wire fraud. Her voice was crisp, a lifeline. To everyone who's ever felt their stomach drop at a text from family, you're not dramatic, you're not crazy, you're reading the pattern. If any of this hit a nerve, like, share, comment how you handled your version of this. And yes, subscribe if you've ever had to protect your future from your past. Because that morning, I realized something ugly. This wasn't desperate. It was entitlement wearing my last name. Here's the thing about revenge, the kind that doesn't blow up your life. It isn't fire, it's ice. Ice is slow, structured, controlled. I met Valerie at a strip mall cafe off the highway, where the coffee tastes like court testimony. She arrived with a legal pad and that face she makes when numbers don't add up. "We're going to do this right," she said, and for the first time since the bank notification, my pulse leveled out. She called Hannah, a cyber fraud attorney, with a voice like clean metal. We slid evidence across the table. Screenshots of the transfers, the timing window, the IP location the bank disclosed. I described the laptop when I logged in, what apps I touched. Hannah nodded and said the sentence that made my skin prickle. "This is premeditated. The keylogger is a digital burglar's crowbar. We'll file a police report immediately, then move to freeze any accounts we can tie to Greg. We didn't text my parents. We didn't talk it out. That script is how you lose. We documented everything, chain of custody for the laptop, photos of ports and stickers, the exact time the slideshow fix began." Valerie's brain became a scanner, looking for patterns. The overlap between my two-factor prompts and those 2:04 a.m. transfers. And because this is what trauma actually looks like in real time, I cried once, in a bathroom stall, silently, into a wad of brown paper towel. Then I washed my face and went back to the table. The bank moved fast once they had a case number and a lawyer's letterhead. Some funds froze mid-hop, some didn't. Each little partial hold felt like air returning to my lungs, then leaving again. If you know this dance, you know. The money feels less like numbers and more like oxygen. Every minute matters. Hannah kept me grounded. We will likely not recover everything immediately, but with a criminal case and civil claims, we'll create pressure. Pressure makes truth leak. Then the call that turned my family from a situation into a crime scene. Valerie went home to run a forensic on her own accounts because the math in her head was suddenly screaming. She phoned me at 9 p.m., voice hollow. "He lost it," she said. "Not your money, mine, my retirement. 300,000. I went cold. Because suddenly, my dad's theft wasn't about greed alone. It was triage on a hemorrhage he caused somewhere else. He wasn't investing. He was gambling with the people who loved him, robbing one vault to patch another. And that's when my grief moved aside for clarity. The story wasn't Dad made a mistake. The story was Dad runs a Ponzi of trust. To anyone watching who's lived this, drop a comment with how you caught the pattern. It helps other people feel less alone. Hannah set the next move. In-person confrontation with law behind us. Not a screaming match, a service of reality. We coordinated with a Travis County Sheriff's deputy to secure the laptop as evidence. We printed the demand letter, return $92,000 immediately, or proceed to criminal charges and civil action. The tone wasn't angry, it was surgical. Driving back to that subdivision, I felt a strange calm. Not the numbness of shock, something cleaner. Call it competence. The same focus I get watching a model compile, waiting for the metric to pop green. We parked. I looked at my reflection in the window and saw someone I barely recognized. A woman who finally believed her own story. I rang the bell. Greg opened the door in a golf shirt like it was any Sunday. "Ava, we were worried," he smiled, the kind of smile that makes you want to shower. "Who's this?" Monty added, clocking Hannah. "My attorney," I said. His face twitched. Valerie stepped up behind me. It was like dropping a shadow over the room. "We'll speak inside," she said. Not a request. Here's the part people don't talk about when we say revenge. The most devastating blow isn't a shout. It's a paper, letterhead, bullet points, exhibits. Hannah read the demand. She said the words felony wire fraud and computer crime. She pointed to the laptop like a smoking gun. My mom tried her line, "Don't be dramatic," but it sounded small, almost off-key, like a note that used to work on me and finally didn't. Then Valerie landed the truth like a wrecking ball. "Was my $300,000 a loan too, Greg?" she asked, quiet, deadly. "Or was that just theft you forgot to name?" The room changed temperature. My mom went pale. "300 what?" she whispered. That's when I watched the story collapse. It's wild what happens when the light hits the right angle. Everyone sees the stains at once. The deputy stepped in, collected the laptop, logged the evidence, and I swear I saw my dad shrink an inch. I didn't feel triumph, I felt relief. Because revenge wasn't ruining him, truth was. If you're still with me, and if this feels like a map you might need someday, like this, so it finds the next person who needs it. Share it if you wish someone had told you what calm justice looks like. And drop a comment. When did you stop explaining your pain and start documenting it? Court is not a movie. It's fluorescent lights, dry air, and the sound of your own heartbeat. Greg pled guilty, not because he's noble, but because evidence doesn't care about charisma. The keylogger logs matched the transfer timestamps. The IP matched the house. The 2FA prompts aligned with the window where I was fixing the slideshow. This wasn't family trouble. It was a timeline. And timelines tell the truth. The judge ordered the immediate sale of the McMansion they couldn't afford, the one that always smelled like new debt. Proceeds split. I got my $92,000. Valerie recouped what could be recovered from her $300,000. My parents received 5 years probation and mandatory financial counseling. People ask me if I felt vindicated. The real answer? I felt tired. Like I'd been holding my breath for 10 years and finally put it down. My mom sent a letter that read like a Pinterest board of denial. We were under pressure. Markets move fast. We overextended. She never wrote, "We stole from you." She wrote, "We borrowed." My dad's court-mandated apology closed with, "I hope one day you'll understand I did it for this family." If you've ever gotten one of those letters, you know the flavor. Saccharin with a vinegar aftertaste. It's not apology, it's PR. So I made a file folder labeled Closed. I put the letters inside. Then I blocked their numbers, their emails, their social media, their orbit. People love to say, "But family." Here's my answer. Family is whoever guards your peace when you're not looking. Blood only proves biology, not loyalty. And then life did something wild. It moved forward. We reopened our fundraising round, and with the case documents on the table, investors didn't flinch. They leaned in. "If you navigated that," one of them said, "you can navigate anything." We closed bigger than before. We signed a lease on a bright space in East Austin. We painted a wall with equations and stuck a cheap plant in the corner that refuses to die. We named the company Kepler Data because finding patterns in chaos is our superpower. Valerie became our CFO. I've never been so relieved to hand someone the keys to a balance sheet. She is ruthless with numbers in the way a surgeon is ruthless with a scalpel. Precise, necessary. We built controls I used to think only huge companies needed. Hardware keys for admin access, role-based permissions, separation of duties, monthly audit trails that would make a banker blush. Paranoia, I learned, is just experience with better documentation. My brother moved in with me for a while. He makes coffee like it's a love language and started interning, learning Python between gigs, running community outreach, answering support tickets like a pro. He's proof that people raised in the same house can make different choices. We don't talk about Greg and Linda, not because we're in denial, but because we're busy building, shipping, debugging, laughing at terrible variable names. This is what revenge looks like when you've grown up. You build something that outlives the people who tried to break you. Do I still wake up some nights with my heart racing, remembering the buzz of those bank notifications? Yes. Trauma has muscle memory, but peace does too. Peace is my team's Slack lighting up with a successful deploy. It's our first customer saying, "Your model caught what we missed." It's watching my aunt sit in a glass office, sun on her face, spreadsheets open, safe. If you're listening and this cracked something open in you, if you've ever been robbed of money, time, sanity, drop a comment. What was your moment of clarity? Was it a bank alert? A pawn ticket? A text that finally exposed the pattern? Your story will help somebody else map their exit. Like this if you believe boundaries aren't cruelty. They're oxygen. Share this if someone you love keeps calling exploitation family. Because here's my last shock line, the one I wish someone had given me years ago. You are not obligated to fund the fantasy that's hurting you. Not with your cash, not with your silence, not with your life. The day I stopped auditioning for a role in someone else's drama was the day I got my future back. And if you've ever had to choose between your family and your future, I hope you pick you. Hit subscribe if you're building something that's yours. No keyloggers, no guilt, just work and love that looks like safety. 1 year later, I'm standing in our bright little office in East Austin, coffee in one hand, whiteboards full of messy ideas behind me. Valerie is in the glass room, tuning the forecast. My brother's answering a support ticket with a smile I haven't seen since we were kids. Some nights I still hear those bank pings in my chest, but the echo fades when a customer says, "Your model caught what we missed." That's what healing sounds like now. Quiet competence, small wins, safe people. I kept the court letters in a folder labeled closed, not for revenge, so my brain remembers the truth when nostalgia lies. Here's the question I still ask out loud, and I want your honest take. Am I in the wrong? For choosing distance over drama? For refusing to bankroll a story that harmed me? My lesson is simple and heavy. Boundaries aren't cruelty, they're oxygen. Love without accountability is just PR. And family, real family, protects what you build, not what they can take. If any part of this hit home, tell me where it landed. Drop your moment of clarity in the comments. It'll help someone map their exit. If you're rebuilding too, like this so it reaches them, share it with a friend who needs language for their gut feeling. And subscribe if you want more stories about breaking cycles and building something that's yours.